Good afternoon, everyone. This is the second session of our webinar series in 2019-2020, L Family and Community Engagement with the NCDPI ESL Title III team. This is a webinar series with 4 sessions. We had the first session December 11, L Family Engagement Research-Based Frameworks with Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel from Wayne County Public Schools. And we have today, January 22nd, our second session, a collaborative approach to L family engagement. We have 2 guests from Public Schools of Robeson County. And we hope that you can join us for the 3rd and 4th sessions. And I heard from one of our panelists that she wants to offer a 5th session in which we will help you work on your plan for family engagement. So stay tuned for this information, which is going to be a 5th session of this webinar series. So we have today our title, A Collaborative Approach to L Family Engagement. And these are our 2 guests, Sandra Lopez Greenfield, she's the ESL lead teacher, and Barbara Locklear, the parent liaison from Public Schools of Robeson County. So I'm going to unmute Sandra, and thank you for being here. And I know you want to share some more information about you and Mrs. Locklear.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so I'm Sandra Lopez, EL lead teacher at Public Schools of Robeson County. I am originally from Manizales, Colombia, and I have 2 sons, Christian, who is a civil engineer from the Colombian National University, and Alejandro, who is a doctor, and he graduated from Universidad de Antioquia in the well-known city of Medellin. I have taught English most of my professional life, and I do have more than 20 years combined in teaching English as a foreign and as a second language in the United States. And actually, this is my first experience in a leading position in the United States, but I'm very excited about sharing a family engagement strategy that we are beginning to use in the EL program of Public Schools of Robeson County. Woohoo!
Hey.
I graduated from Universidad de Caldas, or Caldas University in Manizales, Colombia, and I held a master's in TESOL from Greensboro College, earned in May 2018. And more recently, I have been accepted in the doctoral program in curriculum and instruction at Gardner-Webb University. And I know this will be a long and challenging journey, but life is made of challenges. So therefore, here we go. And now you are with Miss Barbara Locklear. We are a great team. We have been working together for so long. She's going to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Barbara Locklear. I'm originally from New Mexico. I am parent liaison both for Las Lumberton Senior High School and Magnolia Elementary School. I have 4 children, Melvin, who works with New Mexico, working with lawnmowers, and I have 3 girls, Melinda, Naomi, and Rachel, who also work with the public schools of Robeson County. Before my position as parent liaison, I used to work as substitute for ESL as a teacher, which I enjoyed completely. Before working with public schools, I worked at Robeson Healthcare Corporation for 18 years, and many students with parents that I now see at schools, and made many friends. And I love to work with people, and it is wonderful to work with Miss Sandra. I appreciate her.
And I appreciate you too, Miss Barbara. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, so we are both excited to share an experience with family engagement that involves our immigrant learners and their families. In our county, we have approximately 210 kids that qualify as immigrant learners. So let's remember that when it comes to family engagement, we have to consider the parents of our long terms, the parents of our recently arrived learners, and in this case, we had an opportunity to work with the immigrant children and their parents, some of them in the high school level. So at the beginning of the school year, we discussed different options and strategies to help our parents understand how to use those books offered through the district at home, because in most cases our parents and our learners, they most of the times, especially our immigrant population, they are not literate. So we thought that we have to create spaces for them to get involved in literacy activities, in this way to be able to create a rich literacy environment at home. Don't you think so, Ms.
Yes,
Barbara?
and many children leave their country with and without their parents.
Yeah, poor babies.
When it comes to the family engagement or family literacy activities, we should work cooperatively. Pretending to develop activities in isolated ways is not the ideal of a literate program. As teachers, we should include the immediate and local community to expand the possibilities of our learners.
Well, in our specific case, for the kickoff of our program, I want you to know that we name our program Unpacking Dreams. And it's true, because every time that our learners open those book bags, what they're actually doing is unpacking their true dreams. So during the kickoff of our program, we collaborated with the North Carolina University of Pembroke and its UNCP campus engagement and leadership that is led by Mr. Abdul Ghaffar, who was a very instrumental person in engaging our learners, the EL staff members, and our district in general during a successful kickoff session. So look at the photo. In this photo, you can see Mr. Ghaffar with young readers author Diane Guerrero, who talked to our children about her book, My Family Divided, and her experiences as a Colombian immigrant learner herself. During her bilingual presentation, and it was a surprise for us, Miss Barbara,
Oh,
because
yes,
she
I
wanted
bet.
to do everything, say
I
everything
know
in
she
both
did.
languages. Diane Guerrero shared her struggles while being in school and her challenges to be educated in a word that she could hardly understand. I bet most of you feel the same way with your children, like,
Yes.
what am I doing here? We appreciated her using her first and second languages, as our immigrant learners were able to understand the entire presentation. We didn't even need an interpreter for that night. That was great. So the kickoff of our Unpacking Dreams program was held at the Givens Performing Arts Center at Pembroke University, which is a really, really nice place.
Yes.
Have you been there, Miss
Yes, I
Barbara?
have, and it's very
It's
big and
huge,
very nice.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
it's an awesome place to be at. Once again, we would like to point out that it is important to, in the next slide, oh no, excuse me, right here, it's very important to locate and partner with community colleges, universities, or other educational organizations in your towns with alike programs so they can match. Also, you can try to find friends of your EL programs and expand them, beginning with district leaders such as your assistant superintendents, school administrators, and parent liaisons who are key when communicating with the families in your district, because everybody wants to be a good friend.
Yes.
Don't you think, Ms. Barbara?
Yes,
Don't
ma'am.
you want to be a good friend?
I do.
So this
I
is the
do.
way you can sell that idea. So I want you to be a friend of my program and then go from there. So let us give you an example on how we did it in our district. So here we can see Ms. Jennifer Freeman. She is our assistant superintendent. You can also see Mr. Larry Brooks, who is the principal at Lamberton Senior High School. And of course, you are there, Miss Barbara.
Yes,
You're
there I
always
am.
there. Thank you. And Miss Barbara Locklear, who is our parent liaison for Magnolia School and Lamberton Senior High School. What do you remember about that session, Miss Barbara?
What I remember is the logo of the activity.
Okay, look, it's at the top right.
Yeah, there you
it's
go.
there.
And the bag was full of illustrations that represented their memories they bring with them to the United States and what they left behind.
Yeah, we don't really want our learners, especially our immigrant children and their families, to forget where they come from, what they have in their
Yeah.
minds and their hearts. It's very important to start a new life.
Yes.
Okay, so there are some powerful reasons why we should be sharing these books, especially bilingual resources with our families. You might be wondering, okay, so why do we have to teach the families how to handle or how to use these books at home? The three important reasons are, first of all, these books mirror the experiences of the journey into the new country. In second place, the content of these books is flexible enough so it can be adapted according to the learners and their family needs. And finally, Ms. Barbara, if you would like to read the last reason.
Finally, the content could also be contextualized for learning by stimulated settings, characters, and even the plot of the story.
Yes, that's true. So if you are reading a story and there's one setting that called your attention or one particular event, even if you are not able to read the entire story, you can adapt it and contextualize it for learning. You can change it. We're going to show you how to do it in a few minutes. So let's talk about our first experience. So out of those books that we purchased for the year, we decided to choose Funny Bones because these bones actually are really funny.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so we use this book to teach our families how to use those books at home with simple activities. For the first session, we decided to contextualize the setting of the story. So, Funny Bones tells the story of Jose Guadalupe Posada and how he became an artist. Let me tell you this, it was the first time that I listened about this guy. I have to be honest with you. He was the character who created the well-known sugar skulls that entertain people nowadays.
Yeah.
I remember the last time that I went to the North Carolina Art Museum, even myself, I painted. I had my face painted with one of the sugar skulls, and it was really nice. So Posada, Mr. Posada, worked diligently in different settings, and some of those settings were the art shop, a printing shop. So in this photo on the right side, what you can see is the parents and their children are working in that particular setting that we created. So it was recreated, and in that setting, what the students have to do was to print out. We brought special materials for that. They have to print out keywords from the story. So we always told them, okay, now you're gonna be working in the printing shop, and they believe it, and they got into that scene in their heads, and they did a great job. Now, as part of the contextualization of the setting of the story, the learners and the parents are working at the simulated art shop, and they decorated their own sugar school. Jose Guadalupe Posada created the sugar schools to reflect the political, religious, and social issues of the time. So Posada designed his sugar schools at the simulated art shop, and that's what we wanted our immigrant learners and their families to know as well. Okay, maybe we can move into the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so after this experience, I think that is more than fair that we can share with you some suggested strategies for implementation. According to Birmingham and Deaver 2005, the focus of these types of strategies is how to create a rich literacy environment at home. So I'm going to mention three of them, and then Ms. Barbara, we're going to mention the last three that you can use if you have a chance to do it. The first one is you can work on a reading quest at the local library. Specifically here in Robeson County, we have 3 libraries. We have one in St. Paul's area. There's another one in Lamberton, and they have very nice locations. And then there's another one in Red Springs. So if you visit the library, you tell the librarians what your expectations are, maybe they can help you and become friends of your program also. The second one is hands-on, so you can have your learners representing a character in the story. And finally, if they have the level for doing this activity, you can design a small group discussion depending on the learner's proficiency level. And Ms. Barbara, if you would like to share the other 3 with us.
And then you can read aloud with assistance of volunteers, high school learners, it could be parents, and parent liaisons.
Or even the semi-EL teachers too,
yes,
right?
Yes, EL teachers also, yes. And collage with messages about the story. And then printing keywords about the story contextualized in the story settings.
But these are not the only strategies that we are going to suggest for you guys today. We have some more, so get excited about it. In our next slide, we see according to the same authors, we're going to share this by references at the end of this presentation. So we can design early literacy activities such as word manipulation, activities like substituting, fill in the blanks, rhyming, and we can also use recycled toys. Using recycled materials, learners will create a story related to one of the characters, or they can use a toy. They can represent the character in the story. For instance, hey guys, let's make Jose Posadas, okay? And then we have the last three.
Singing, short chants about the story. You can rhyming, short poems about the character settings or story plot. And also make riddles and dancing.
Yeah, we know that in our Latin cultures, and not only our Latin cultures, I have seen kids that come from the Middle East that they love dancing. Just give them the chance and you will see.
Yes.
And also, what can we say about our Haitian kids? They love riddles, they love dancing. So have them do it to enjoy the experience. Okay? So now this is something new that we're going to try, okay? Because most of the times we are very busy. We want you to have some time to know the artists that are behind the stories. So this is Mr. Duncan Tonahue, a young story maker. So I don't know exactly if you're gonna play directly or you're gonna explain more or less what we're gonna do with this video.
I can try to play the video. I'm going to paste the link in the chat box so everyone can have access in case it doesn't work. So give me 1 second and I'm going to share the link.
Thank you so much, Satli.
Okay, so I share the link in the chat box if you guys want to do it on your own computer, but I'm going to try to play it here and see. Hopefully it works. We don't have any difficulties.
Cross your fingers.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, Sandra, if you please can talk a little bit about the video and the information share. We have some comments that the audio wasn't good, and we had thought about this, and that's why we shared the link. So I'm going to share the link one more time so you have access to the video and you can watch it again once we finish the webinar. But if you please can talk a little bit about the video and what is shared so we don't miss that part of your presentation.
Okay, so let's remember in first place that Mr. Duncan Donahue was the writer of our first book, the book that was chosen for our first night session that was called Funny Bones. But that's not the only book that he has written so far. So basically what he's telling is how he began designing those characters for the stories. He likes to contemplate the geography, especially in Central America, to come up with some other ideas to create more characters for his books. And that's what he's been sharing with the audience today. But you will, when you see this video, you're going to understand like every character in those books, and basically this is a good material that we all can use with our children, especially at the elementary and early grades in middle school, because he suggests to children how to improve their creativity, if they have ideas, how to develop those ideas. And they always suggest, of course, to read and read more, because basically what his advice is practice makes perfect. So the more you practice something, the better you get on doing that. So Ms. Barbara, based on this video and all the suggestions that Mr. Duncan is giving us as teachers, learners, and parents in general, what are some of the memories that you have in your head about that session that we have with the kids?
Okay. Miss Sandra, I remember that the kids involved were competing with each other to do the most correct list of words from the story, with the parents very interested in doing what their kids were doing. It was good to remember that before doing this, if you need to prepare the magnetic letters to complete this task. The kids, they they read the words out loud and acted them out, pretending to be people in the story.
Yes, that's very important. So in the next slide, this is not the only resource that we are going to recommend. Like I said, this is going to be here, as at least she already shared the link with you guys, and you will have a better chance in the piece of your home or in the piece of the school or your classroom to take a look and to see this video again. So some of the suggested titles for an Unpacking Dreams book bag program are
Sonia Sotomayor, the judge grows in the Bronx. La juez que creció en el Bronx.
So the second book that we're going to recommend is entitled A Piñata in a Pine Tree. And look at that really funny tree that we see there, the pine tree. I think it's very attractive to our kids.
The Island Born.
And I love this story because this is a story that tells the kids and teach them that how to be inclusive, because we all look different and we don't have to look the same, and that's basically the learning that they can take away after reading the story. And finally, we have, of course, the one written by Mrs. Diane Guerrero, My Family Divided. And in the next slide, we have some more resources to recommend.
Cuba 15.
And we also had Waiting for the Biblioburo. I personally love this story because this happens in my country. So in those remote areas where the kids do not have access to a lot of resources, literacy resources, they're always waiting for their Biblioburo to come and go around and deliver those books for them to read. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna like it. Most of our kids, they will hardly ever see here in the United States a burro, a donkey going around with some books to be delivered. So I think they're gonna like it.
Julia Alvarez, once a quinceañera.
And they, you know what quinceañera means for all of them. And finally, we have another book titled that is Dreamers. And Dreamers is a beautiful story, once again, of those memories that their kids bring with them that made them to be strong and to persevere in the new land. So now, what are the expectations for our program? This is not the only session that we're going to conduct. For now, we just wanted to share with you the result of the first experience. We are happy to know, Ms. Barbara, that we will continue doing this in the future. Yes. We hope to continue with our collaborative work in the upcoming months. Of course, now we are focused on access test, but after that, we hope to provide more strategies to our families on how to develop a rich literacy environment at home. And our expectation is to include as many volunteers, such as college students, high school EL learners, and families in general, to support our efforts.
So far, this Unpacking Dreams experience has been a success, Mrs. Sandra.
Yes.
We have received calls from parents that would like to get involved in our program, and we hope that you will all be willing to replicate this experience in your districts. With this purpose in mind, we would like to suggest some titles for you to purchase, as this program is totally worth the effort.
Yes, I agree with you. So thank you all for being here today, for listening to us, and we hope this help you improve your districts. There will be some references at the end. One of the articles that we based our activity on, you can read it, copy on your browsers, and then you will have some time to read this interesting resource also. Thank you so much, Ms. Barbara, for being here today.
You're welcome. I'm totally
I appreciate your time and everything that you do for our children. Thank you, Ms. Sandra. Thank you, Ms. Sadley. I appreciate everything that you do in North Carolina.
Thank you, Sandra and Mrs. Locklear. So now we're going to open the mic, or if you want to participate, raising your hand or add your questions on the question box. And then we have our two speakers of the day answering these questions. Just wanted to mention, some people have said in the chat box they want these resources. They consider these great resources. So once we finish our webinar, we're going to share everything on our website. So please check our website and you will see, if you go to bit.ly/PD dashboard and webinar series, you will have the slide deck and the video recording. So you will have all the information that our speakers are sharing during the webinars. So I'm going to share that link on our chat and we'll see if we get some other questions. So yes, please watch the video later. We share the link and you will also have access to the link for the article. So you can check after the webinar these two resources. So let's see, we have some hands and we want some people who want to ask a few questions to our speakers today. So I see, let me see, we have hands here. We have a quiet audience. We have Mrs. Marcita Mahar. I'm going to unmute you and see if you have a question for the speakers. Marcita, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. I just want to thank Sandra and Miss Barbara for the work they are doing. It's really impressive and I really like it. So congratulations, ladies.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Merci.
Okay, thank you. So let's see, we have Dr. Maria Rosa Rangel. She was the speaker for our first session. And let me see if I can unmute you. She has, let me see. I'm trying. Okay, Maria Rosa, can you hear me? Okay, maybe she's having some difficulties with her mic. So let's see if we have any other hands. Okay, we see Allison. Okay, you are unmuted.
Hi, first I apologize because my dishwasher is running. So the question was, how do you promote your events? And what is your target parents, like the number of parents you're looking to bring into your events?
Okay, that is a great question. Okay, because we have almost 210 families that are immigrant. We send multilingual invitations to approximately 15 families at a time. Uh, and based on our experience, I think that the next time we should start inviting smaller numbers, because sometimes, our families are large and the
Yeah.
families want to come with their youngest children, they want to come with their babies. So we have to start evaluating this activity and then we will go from there, because it's not possible to have let's say 50 families in a room. Is kind of difficult to handle, but and also we don't have enough volunteers. So in order to start with a good activity, we will have to be more proactive.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a question, Sandra. You said you had the opening session or the kickoff of your program. Can you tell us a little bit about that partnership with the community? How was it? What kind of information you can share with the audience today that can help them try to reach out to their higher ed education institutions? Because I think it was with the community college or the university that you had this partnership and you had the opportunity to invite your family. So if you can talk a little bit and those specific things that we can use if we want to do something similar in our school districts.
Okay, so the UNC Pembroke and its campus of engagement and leadership is led by Mr. Abdul Ghaffar. If you guys want to go online and try to find that center, I'm gonna say it again, it's the UNCP Campus Engagement and Leadership Center. So they normally have monthly sessions with distinguished speakers. And I began going to those sessions and I was always hoping, oh my God, I wish they could have somebody from Central America or from Colombia. And finally they did. And it was just at the beginning of the year. So this was not something that was planned as we thought, because it was a coincidence. I knew that she was coming, so I went to the UNCP Campus Engagement and Leadership, and I talked to Mr. Abdul Ghaffar, and I told him about the program that we wanted to start, Unpacking Dreams. And then we designed the logo, and he became very interested. He said, yes, we can make it happen. The UNCP Campus Engagement and Leadership Center, they donated 100 tickets for our family, so they didn't have to pay to hear Diane Guerrero, because Diane Guerrero, she has been acting in Netflix. She is an activist for the rights of immigrant families in the United States, especially in California. So that's the way we made it possible. I think it was God behind the scene.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for those that maybe are not very religious, but I just have to say it like that. It was like a miracle. Everything was set up, so we worked together and it worked out. That's how it happened. And she even gave us her autograph on some of our books. So next time that we work with that book and we tell the kids and their families about the story, My Family Divided, they're gonna have an autograph book in their house. So it's gonna be great.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions in the questions chat box. One says, in your experience, what days and times are better for parents to attend a session at school?
Well, you guys have these wonderful questions today. Okay, so let me tell you, when we had the first meeting, we were considering Saturdays as our favorite day, but definitely it doesn't work. Our first session was planned to start at 6 p.m.,
Yes.
but I will move it up to maybe 7 p.m. if possible, because of those shifts that the families have to do in their jobs. So at 6 o'clock is not really, I would say 6:30 or 7 p.m. after school. And the session, I don't really think is enough. 1 hour is not going to be enough.
Yeah.
It has to be 2 hours because it was just the time that we needed. But if you have more volunteers, the more volunteers you have, the more successful the experience is going to be like. Now, let me tell you this. You have to meet with a group of people, with a small group of people to plan the activity. You have to read the book before you go there. And you have to have, let's say, maybe 3 or 4 different activities based on
Yes.
that book, no more than 4 because it's just too much. And at the beginning, we were very ambitious. We wanted the kids to print like 10 different words, right?
Mhm.
But no, you can start with 5. 5 keywords will be enough. So this is the result of our experience: time, number of volunteers, and the activities that you would like to plan. Do not be very ambitious in the first session because just try to pilot the activity and then you will go from there. You will reevaluate and include more. And now let me tell you this is our first year. Probably the other sessions in the second year are going to be much, much better. You have to start getting the families used to the sessions, to familiarize with the materials. And once they get familiarized, everything is going to be perfect.
Okay, thank you. We have Nima Shah. She wants to ask a question, so I'm going to unmute Nima.
Hi, Nima.
Hey, thank you for the session.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have a question. How often do you have these parent sessions during the year? And besides books, what other resources or strategies can we provide to the students and the parents to take home?
Okay, so we are planning to have 2 sessions per month, and we also plan to cover the elementary schools, the middle schools, the immigrant families in the middle schools, and the high school. I think that for being the first year, we won't be able to cover all the families in one semester. So we have to start planning ahead for next year also. And some of the other resources, you can give them magazines. Sometimes in the media centers, they have extra books that they're planning to discard. So it will be good if you can ask your media center coordinator in the district, hey guys, if you have some extra materials, why don't you give them to us so we can share? Or you can invite some other organizations in town, or the library, for example, they have flyers with the movie nights for the children. You can invite the library or your community college, and you can also share ESL classes, like the schedules for ESL classes for the parents especially. That's what I would recommend. But if somebody comes up with some other ideas, that'll be great to hear. I mean, we are open to any suggestions.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have another question in the chat box. It says, which strategies do you use to find volunteers at the high school level?
Okay, as the lead teacher, I try not to miss any of the meetings that are going on in the district. And I'm just gonna give you an example. Last night, I went to our second parent family, the session that they had in the farmers market, and I saw a parent that is always there. So I asked her in a very informal conversation. So that's the first strategy. You have to have an informal conversation, like a friendly conversation with the families every time that you see them. The second one is those invitations for the parents, they should be translated in different languages, but we normally send the English version too, because I know some parents are very curious and they want to know how to say this or that word in both languages. And the other thing is that we are using talking points to remind the families about this session. That's what we used so far. But I will say there's nothing that replaces a good phone call. So you have to start calling the families too. If you are monolingual, please ask somebody in your district to help you by communicating with the parents in Spanish. Now, the good thing about talking points, I don't really know how many of you are using that technological platform, but if you use talking points, you just have to type in the message in English and it will go out automatically. You don't have to do anything else in different languages. So we really want to recommend reaching out to the families using talking points. Talking points for parents is great.
Is this a free digital tool,
Yes,
Sandra?
yes,
Okay.
totally free. It's great. It's called Talking Points.
Okay. So I have one more
Maybe,
hand. Okay,
maybe
go ahead.
I was going to tell you that maybe you can look it up in a few minutes and share that resource because it's very easy to find.
Okay, we are running out of time, but what we can do is in the last slide, you can add those other resources you had mentioned.
Sure.
And please, everyone, we have had some questions that if they can have the resources, the video of this webinar and the slide deck, the presentation. Yes, I have shared the link on the chat box. And you go to our PD dashboard and the first resource that is there says professional learning opportunities through GoToWebinars. So once you click there, you will see the webinar series and you have access not only to today's webinar resources, but the ones we share with Dr. Rangel and the ones we will be sharing in the future. So make sure that you have the link. The easiest way is bit.ly/PD dashboard. And I also shared that link there. I'm going to unmute Dr. Rangel. I see her hand again, but maybe it's from before. Let me see. I think it was just the old question that we had before when she had difficulties with the mic. But we have another question, Sandra and Mrs. Locklear. It says, okay, this says, thank you very much for the ideas and resource information. The question is, what is an example of an activity to concurrently do with immigrant parents who are literate in their home language and or English? So what is an example of an activity to concurrently do with immigrant parents who are literate in their home language and or English?
Well, that is actually an advantage for you guys. If you already know that there's a family out there who is very literate, I will have that family as part of my volunteers. I don't know, Miss Barbara, what you think about that, but I think that because they will have a better chance to learn a little bit more about the story if they are leading one of the stations that we're working with. So I wouldn't really invite them. I will invite them as volunteers because they can begin being leaders with my activity, with your activity in your district. And these parents that are very literate, they normally are ready and they want to be leaders in the community too. So that's what I will do, unless somebody else has another suggestion.
Okay, I don't see, we have just one more question. We have 10 more minutes. So if you have more questions or any additional ideas you want to share, please type those in your question box or raise your hand. I'm gonna read the last questions we have. It says, does documented or undocumented status affect parent participation in your district?
No, not at all. Mm-mm.
And we know by civil rights, parents are protected, and in the school campus, the parents should be fine and they shouldn't be asked for any documentation or IDs just for civil rights. We know that they shouldn't be afraid of being on campus, correct?
Exactly, and I was going to refer to that point. That was a learning experience also for us. You have to see the faces of our immigrant families when they came to school and nobody was asking them about anything. They behaved, they left everything clean up. They felt like the school was their home for real and they wanted more. So I believe that when there are a lot of restrictions, because the principal already knew, and thank you, Miss Barbara, because she was the one who was communicating the principals what we were going to do. So when they came to the high school, they felt at home. So it's good sometimes that we forget a little bit about the status and just start building trust. if you start building trust, they're gonna get used to it.
Thank you, Sandra and Mrs. Locklear. I don't see any more comments or questions in the chat box. So if you need to leave, feel free to leave. If you want to stay and ask another question, we're going to have our panelists for 10 more minutes. So we are here in case you want to ask something else. I'm going to move to the next slides so you can have their email information and you can contact them if you want. But remember that we are posting their presentations and the webinar recording on our website. So you will have all that information, and still if you want to communicate with them, just please make sure that you keep their email address, and you should be looking at that. Correct, Sandra? Do you see the slide with your email and Mrs. Locklear's email?
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
yes.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Now,
Perfect.
I do have a list of resources that we purchase district level. If somebody wants to have it, I can also share that. I'm just gonna let Ms. Freeman know that I will be doing that for liability purposes, but I will be more than glad to share some other resources with everyone.
Thank you. We have some comments. Thank you very much. Great ideas. Thank you. Thank you. So before everyone leaves, I want to invite you to the next session. We're going to have the third session is L family engaging strategies and activities. So maybe we're going to expand on these digital tools and different opportunities that we can bring for our families. And it's going to be in March 11 after our access testing window. So we hope everyone has a great testing window, and we'll see you in March. Let me see if we have any more questions. I appreciate what you have shared today, Sandra and Mrs. Locklear. This is really good information for our field, our teachers. And we have more comments. Thank you. Thank you very much. This was great. Excellent webinar. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your support, Sadly.
All right. So I think we can finish. We have 5 more minutes, but I don't see any more hands up. Let me see. Nope. Are any more questions? So I think we can finish the recording. I'm going to finish the recording. And